their new rosters here at the semi-final. The Rising Star Odyssey here on the Rocket and Rocket Baguette, both in English and French. The Ally sponsored tournament by, of course, as well, Psionics. Let's get game number one underway.
Game one between two absolute masterclasses, and they haven't been without their fair share of past engagements, especially looking back at that winter split where Team Vitality won one of those matchups and G won the other. Nonetheless, so far, here and now in the present with these new rosters is all that these two teams need to worry about, and I think that Team Vitality might need to worry about something very specific early on, and that is just how deadly this G1 team can be.
Zen's first competitive tournament. He would like to start in gold, covered with it. That goal, however, will signify it has not gone perfect in the semi-final. They have been barely flustered so far here, and it'll be a big test against Vitality with this G1 roster knocking on the door so far twice, and that one a bit nervy for the youngster.
A little bit so there, but nonetheless, a booming ball forwards. It's going to afford this Team Vitality side a little bit of breathing room downfield as Oli's going to precariously hit this one up, and Radisson can't quite squeeze away a finish there as this defence is just all sorts of panic. Zen with a beautiful fake actually weaves himself out the way there to try and afford themselves a future chance. Speaking of which, Alpha 54, does he miss those? I've not seen it personally.
You've not, I haven't, maybe Chat has. I doubt you'll say it to him in ranked or in competition though. Anger the Beast, feel the wrath. Alpha finally puts one in. We're tied at 1-1. And Atomic, maybe he wants to score a few of his own here. Goes above the crossbar, too tight on that particular advancement.
Ooh, and a little whiff there from Radisson, and it's not going to do too much damage just yet, but actually very aggressive behaviour from this G1 roster trying to push out of defence. They're trying desperately to come away from this situation they're faced with, but Team Vitality still knocking on the door.
There's Alpha. Dorito just sends it long. Will be Redosin to have his say. Sen will be going, can you give me that one a little bit more better next time? Because that's the standard they are at. They would like to be clinically clean here as Zen just tips that one forward. And both sides there will just look at each other and go, let's reset from here.
Absolutely so, and I think some of that counter-attack gameplay that perhaps we made light of in the break is what we're seeing right now. Back and forth affair, but G1, the team with a bit of control here. Oli has a shooting chance, has a passing chance, goes for the teammate, and Zen with a crucial block there as Alpha wraps back around in support, and now it's their charge to come downfield.
Gone, demoed, removed. Zen, mind you, still weighing his options, and that's, you know what? Let's attack G1. Are they ready for me? Are they ready to handle what could be potentially the greatest player that France has ever seen? Well, I think there may be a few comments on that one alone, as Zen weaves his way defensively around this one.
And in the corner, traps this ball is, but in the direction of G1, fortunately for them, as Oli in support is able to take this one over to the wall, and a nice first touch to tee himself up there as Team Vitality still knocking on the door in terms of these counter-attacks. Alpha infield, Zen already up, one touch, maybe a second down. He drops it to Alpha, but it's saved away by Atomic, and thankfully for G1, it wasn't as much damage as it could have been.
Not over though, Psycho. Hold on a second. That's a defensive clearance. Vitality sent back to their final third. They're forced here to play a game of heave-ho here. Who will blink first here? We'll play it effectively 3+ minutes. We've seen a few close to charges, and Vitality's B has been cut short.
Nice play here from Dorito. The first touch was so perfect to set himself up for that backboard flick. Now TK Atomic in absolutely the position that they needed to be, and that's it. 2-1, the direction of G1.
A spare thoughts here for the casters and the French nationals over at Rocket Baguette here. They'll be nervous, they'll be sweating here. There's a lot of pressure on this young man Zen and the rest of this roster here, trailing 2-1 in the opening cycle. Not the perfect start he would like.
Absolutely not. But the Series length is certainly long. 7 games to maybe make up for a sloppy performance this time around, but it's been far from that from Team Vitality. It's just been G1 coming into a new life of their own, really. Maybe courtesy of that roster change, maybe it's just their appearance on the day, but it's certainly something to behold.
Well, mind you, not given time to rest. His first touch and directly played where they would like to. It's not really slow or deliberate either. It's to see what happens as a response here. It's Alpha's response to send it downfield. There's Redosin. That's a lot more purposeful. Back into middle, perhaps. Zen's waiting, but he'll have to wait his turn as Alpha takes charge, and that's taken over.
Big clear forwards, and Radisson forced all the way back, and a 50-53 it sees its way through to Zen. Not quite capitalised on, but there is more to this attack, and Radisson has actually just cut right back into the play after he was initially involved. Alpha 54 doing all the heavy lifting to get that ball down, and a good finish it was.
G1, they'll be sitting there and looking at each other, disappointed with themselves. Vitality, the opposite. This game is such an emotional roller coaster. You can sit there for half a second, have joy and misery at the other end here. They'll go into OT, they might have to dust themselves down here, but they're letting the door open.
Letting the door open, but it's only just a crack so far. It's not fully really made itself into light. And this ball surely is going to hit the floor, if not for Zen. He's took to the skies. It's a wide open net, but it's just wide of its mark, and Atomic to settle this one down has still not got the job done. And oh my goodness, Danny, Team Vitality, the fact this is still a 2-2 scoreline is an absolute miracle.
Some might be greedy and ask for 4, 5, 6 goals. Redosin, maybe an own goal. Fine margins. But here we are. It is 2-2 second. We can't change it. Relic did mention the Newcastle and Spurs game. Don't think we'll be seeing scorelines like that.
Not anytime soon, at least, unless this series has some sort of drastic transformation, and Alpha 54 could have been that player. Only double touch, bound towards net. What a clean contact that was on the first touch. Glanced it over to the backboard so delicately, and the finish, perfect too.
Sit down and watch. Vitality versus G1 in the semi-final, worthy of the grand final arguably itself. That's the goal that separates them in game 1. Deco, I might say this a bit too early here on the Rocket. We've had some classics over the years. This will be one.
I very much hope so. And if that first game is anything to go by, we are in for an absolute thriller. And of course, G1 have to be patting themselves on the back for that opening performance against a team which is probably going to have the most limelight out of any in this competition, or any teams, generally speaking, in the world right now. Zen, the new player for Team Vitality. All the spotlight is on him, but Oli, in those dying seconds of that previous game, made his name maybe known the loudest of all in this lobby, Danny.
Certainly so. Unfortunately, if you were looking the series statistically, Deco and I are not a big fan looking at the numbers as they be all ends type situation here. But the saves favoured G1. They had to. The attack was over course percentage-wise favouring Vitality and certainly stronger movements. But Ollie performed. Ollie took that opportunity and Ollie struck when they have those chances. Now, people might say Senko as well. That's saying couldn't feel nerve or might not in all these situations here. If a player comes into a tournament, you expect it. But he will be good enough to handle it. Everyone in this lobby will be performing to that level. We've seen it in game 1 here.
Yep, we've seen exactly that. We've seen players performing as expected. If you expect a player to be the best in the world, more often than not, they'll come out and show themselves why they're worthy of that hype, why they're worthy of that expectation. But Team Vitality now trailing after that first game. I do wonder what sort of an effect it might have on this team at large, because looking at how the game shaped itself up to be, it was very difficult to call. Basically, from front to back, there was no sort of, systems around the way each teams were approaching the play. It was pure and full-out aggression, reactionary play, if you will, and I think that's what made it so exciting, and hopefully we get to see a bit more of that.
Certainly, so we're seeing quite a lot of reactionary-based gameplay over here on the Rocket with the Sam and Mina-based broadcast that we do up for the day 3. And you know what? We could sit here and have a long conversation on play styles and responses on that too. But when you have a series like this, sometimes it's how they adapt, and sometimes we might have to look at Vitaly and Circle. Will they maybe be cheeky enough to push a bit further, or will it sit back here? But thankfully, Game 2 is not far away.
Game 2 is underway right about now. Zoli takes to the kickoff, potentially the MVP of that previous game, looking to recreate that performance he did just minutes ago. But alas, Team Vitality being given extra time to consider their approach, as Zen almost fires one in the upper 90 there.
Certainly so. Dorito taking a bit of time. Just want the pace sometimes to slow down. It's easy to get hyped into it in terms of the gameplay, the speed. You just want to continue matching. Arguably a few times you just want to slow down, think about it, and send the perfect pass, touch, or whatever the occasion might need. Dosen here will just slow things down at the midfield line.
And towards this back third, Team Vitality are going to work from Radisson towards net. What a save that is from Oli. Near disaster, just averted in the dying seconds there, as that counter-attack proved just how lethal Team Vitality can be, especially if you give them that breathing room. But alas, Alpha 54 out of defense, a pinch fortuitously across the G1 net, but Oli dealt with it comfortably there.
Gathering ball there, and Zayn moves up and down. Alpha sets it up and shot right at the keeper. Vitality annoyed. Alpha wants it more. 1-0.
Pure rage from Alpha off the wall here. Was given so much space to throw a ripper of a shot, and did exactly that after a miracle save from the man of the hour, it seems, at the moment, Oli, who's added to his save tally to make it 3. But hold on a second. G1 have finally had some fruits to their labour straight off of kickoff here, and Atomic makes it even.
See no evil, hear no evil. Oh, Psycho, take a moment to breathe. I think everybody might want to as well, but frankly, 1-1, kickoff goal at this level might not happen for the rest of the series here. Zen with a defensive touch this time here. Will we see the evil? Will we see something heavenly here?
Maybe so. If Oli takes to the skies, that's certainly a high probability. As Zen's going to take this one over. He's actually let it go for Radisson here. Atomic up high. It's going to give Team Vitality a platform to build from here. As Zen can only push the ball as far forward as that first player in blue, as G1 look to collect themselves at the back here.
Then goes to the opposite side, but passes down the line. Sense the ideas are at least coming through here. Fabulous bumping. Atomic. Oh, Atomic. He wanted it. He wanted a goal. But frankly, those half chances have to be better in these type of matches.
They absolutely do. Zen here with 100 boost. Plenty of space through the skies. What's he got to offer us? Nice bit of control, but that's about all that was to it. Courtesy of that support from G1 at the back there. All 3 blue players ready and waiting for that opportunity as Dorito tries to lunge a shot on net. But Zen, this player's level of control is just so special.
Wrong the BM, yes, but how can you not? Oh, control, accuracy, something was missing there.
Something was missing, and that was the back of the net, unfortunately, for this G1 side. Radisson takes this ball high, has a secondary touch to follow. Zen on target, maybe just a bit off, but it does not matter. It might have been touched away by Dorito at the back here as he flailed desperately tried to make a touch on this ball, when actually it was a bump all along. Team Vitality, that was planned from the word go.
Goal from kickoff number 4 in game 2. What a bump could be disguised as such a clever play here. Zen, likewise, Atomic, just skirting around here in this Vitality final half here, and Dorito will be beaten, and this is up into there. The back wall is looking like an option. Zen, however, being challenged forcefully down the line. Just like that, we see G1 not happy with how Vitality has responded, so they'll change a few things of their own here.
Absolutely, but hold on a second, because it looks as if Team Vitality, it's not just a case of how they've changed up their play. It's not just a case of perhaps G1 themselves slowing down. Team Vitality are here to bite with a venom, and that force provided there from Alpha. 3-1. It's now a very difficult and tall order for G1.
It's funny how this game, when you say 2-1, there's a chance. With 3-1, it's looking a very difficult where you can bump your opposition into the net here and maybe score off, but oh, sometimes maybe the green isn't running in your favour.
Certainly not so now for Team Vitality, but this counter-attack could give them an extra chance if Alpha is able to get up for this play, but already G1 ready and waiting. 45 seconds left. Zoli into the corner, 100 boost away of Dorito, but still doesn't aid his cause to get out of defense.
G1's got a defense, and Vitality's likewise. The idea here of holding the ball in any shape or proportion in terms of developing for a passing play, not very likely here.
Not at all, and Oli still beaten to the punch. Radisson in the corner, nil boost, but a strong 50 towards a teammate infield. And Team Vitality, the support structure, this rotation they've got going is just absolutely relentless, as a fourth could have easily found its way through. Maybe one last shot from Radisson, but this game surely done and dusted, if not for a lovely touch from Dorito. And Team Vitality, they have completely transformed themselves. 1-1, now your series score.
It's a fabulous series. I'm not saying I told you so, this will be a classic, but the fact that both of these two sides here are willing to chip away at each other, the fact that the margins are so minuscule that it's effectively a bump play that bounces off the back end of, I believe it was Dorito. Psycho, there's sometimes when you look at these type of decisions or these moments, they seem insignificant, but in the grand scheme of things, they're huge moments.
Huge moments. And that bump, like you mentioned, Danny, was one such occasion where I think it's fair to say, if you're on the receiving end of a play like that, you just have to sit there and accept it and say, there is genuinely nothing we could do about that. And I think it's moments like those where Rocket League shows itself to be such an exciting esports, when just a goal flies on in that is basically undefendable. Trying to find those moments is often few and far between, even in professional play, and we're seeing so many moments like this so far.
Just like that. We'll see a few moments here kicking off in the third one. Just what is going to be developed from these moments. That's where, I'm not saying even if we want to call ourselves analysts, Psycho, we might be lacking a few answers here, because we're reaching to a point of the game here where it has to be something special pulled out of the bag here, something out of that quiver and the arrow, just to make it standing. When it delivers, when it hits, and how it does, we don't quite know yet.
So far we've seen a bullseye of a performance from both sides. It's going to be about continuing that momentum forwards if you're in the camp of Team Vitality, but G1 certainly a threat, as proved in that first game and at many stages in the second too, as Atomic tries, unsuccessfully attempts to put a shot towards target, and you can see these sort of opportunities look to form themselves, but so quick our Team Vitality to respond. This one is actually wide open all along. Oli tracking back to that third man position. He thought he had all the time in the world. It wasn't to be, and Alpha 54 has found the back of the net.
You either turn left or you turn right. you make a decision and you just have to have that instinct. Wrong way. Unfortunately, the wrong outcome. Redosa, mind you, just taking his time to gather his thoughts for his touch onto the ball here. And you know what? That's a demo they open up. But Team Vitality, they're not relenting, and why would you? When you're in the driving seat, drive home the advantage.
Absolutely, and especially whilst you have that chance, it's so important to take it, as Dorito almost did there, but Atomic fill in loose gaps in attack. Oli backs out of that one smartly, but Zen so quick to the play. Is this player? He's in such a crucial way of negating some of these chances, and speaking of, that was a near miss, and potentially one that Team Vitality are going to be very thankful for.
That's a straight shot, and they'll be thankful for that by all. You can't afford to shoot when you practically have 3 keepers in net here. And you know what? G1 not looking as comfortable as they were here. They'll have to hope for a follow-up, and unfortunately, they follow through Zen's pathway.
I think maybe a little bit of waste there from Oli on the counter-attack, who might have been in 2 minds between shooting and playing that double touch, but nonetheless, there's still more future opportunities to come if this rotation can keep its way going. As Dorito looking for a bump, and Oli already involved with the play. They're just hounding like wolves on this Team Vitality defense. Dorito up, Dorito down. Unfortunately, no contact made.
First real miss of the series, and it's by G1. Is that foreshadowing what the series might unfold? I hope not, but Atomic, upfield it goes, all is there, and Atomic running all the way back here. And G1, they might be a bit scared somewhat here. They should be scared since floating around, and it's only a case of when, not if.
Absolutely so, and if Zen's on the ball, there's only one methodology of approach, and that is to expect the worst, because this player is just something special. But unfortunately for him, no boost in the tank on that previous attempt, as Alpha 54 rattles forwards. Dorito booms it large, and Radisson up to the ceiling. A nice bit of close control here, and it's actually given away possession. LTK Atomic downfield. LTK Atomic, a goal on the board for himself, and an equal game we have here.
Can't believe what happened. Your overlay at home, and our booth does not lie. There was 0 on Alpha. There was 0 chance really of getting to it. D1 have got a miracle. Now they've got to continue and have a bit of good fortune to find the seconds.
Certainly need a lot of good fortune. Maybe there's more to that fruit of their labour than just that, as Dorito takes to the skies. Maybe a second touch. It's dropped down from Oli, and Alpha 54 has done well to see that one wide. Maybe Oli can drop it down to a teammate Central as well, but Team Vitality so quick to get in the way.
Good down, and Ole. The big blue net, that's yours. Wrong ends. A back pass is one thing, but getting the scare. But maybe, just maybe, one bad touch, an own goal in that reprieve might just go against you from earlier.
Might just do that. And on the counter for Team Vitality here, there is no players in orange downfield. They're trying to absorb as much of this pressure as they can, and maybe Alpha 54 can be a difference maker, but the shot was straight down the middle of the net. Unfortunately, did not challenge the keeper, as that one did to Dorito, but he's done so well to feed that off to the side.
And that there is a fabulous save. Said Luke, there was a glint in his eye, and unfortunately, G1 only has dust in their eyes. One has befallen to the ground, and maybe, just maybe, this game too.
That demo is absolute filth from Team Vitality, and when they needed it most, they have found themselves a gap. Not just one that just appeared in front of them, but one that they forged through hard work. That attacking stint there, and now G1 with it all to do after having control for the majority of this game. I think it's fair to say find themselves on the back foot.
I think we might disagree on whether they had control or was it Vitality just letting them have the ball. But you know what? Vitality, that was a fabulous demo, but Dorito Atomic and Ollie will have to work this one downfield if they want the COT. Whether Vitality lets them, that's a different matter.
0 seconds on the clock. Alpha tries to drop it down. It's a good touch from the side in blue, but it is simply not enough. And Team Vitality have well and truly taken the momentum from that game 2, transferred it over. Has to be said, Team Vitality, I think you were very accurate in saying something, Danny, and that is their approach now. Let G1 play their own game. Make sure that you can try and counter that in the best way that you can, because we've seen a transformation almost of playstyles, and G1, it's not suited them so far.
Can you say that again, by the way? Because most of the other casters don't believe that me and you may be coaches at one point, more current than latter here. But yes, it's nice to see that transformation, that movement, that passing, the change of things. But the fact that Vitality has allowed them, that's fabulous. The fact that G1 got back into the game, how they got back into the game, they won't be happy with that. They won't be contented, and that's the difference so far here.
Maybe so. We've already seen one transformation by the likes of Team Vitality in terms of how they've shifted their play to make a difference and make an impact in this series at large. And G1 have it all to do themselves now as they find themselves in this series score deficit. What can they bring to the table? Let's find out here in Game 4.
Solid, Atomic. Torito just letting that one run. Pushed a bit too far up his third man, so understandably so. Complex game, and that's unfortunate. And that's the right position by Alpha. It's just in the nick of time.
It's just in the nick of time, as was the MVP from earlier on in this series, Oli. What an angle that is. He's actually pushed himself from all the way centre of the field over to the other side. And the angle just so well done there.
Tip your hat off. Fabulous shot. And all that just going downfield straight from the kickoff here in Alpha. Moving around here, and G1's responding with a taste of the medicine of Vitality's own kind here. Just while they can continue it and develop into something here, will it flourish? So far, no.
So far, no. But this flower certainly has a lot of blooming left to do. Show and reveal all of its pretty colours in this series, I'm sure, as LTK Atomic up to the skies. A flip reset. Not past one player, unfortunately. His Alpha 54's actually got a dunk on the second as well, and now it's straight back into this blue half. Zen over to the backboard. 3 blue players forced into a dangerous situation there, and thankfully, Team Vitality weren't there to punish.
Well, this time, there is Alpha. Obvious lines the punishment there. A few bumps here by Ollie, so Zen, Rozosin left in the corner. Temporary 2v2, shall we, for the kudos sake of how the game plays unfolded. There is Alpha, tips it down, there's Zen, and a double save pinch just to get G1 out of a tight squeeze.
Absolute calamity at the back for G1, but they still retain this 1-goal lead so far, and that is all that they need to care about, if not for Zen, who's lunged for that bump on the final defender, but no contact formed as LTK Atomic on the counter. Straight over to the opposite corner now. Zen with a hoof forwards. You can see that Team Vitality are just begging to push this ball downfield.
Thought there maybe a passing lane there to open up by G1's defensive play. Quite here, it's Vitality, mind you, with possession, able to develop here, and that's a shot right at the keeper, Dorito. Maybe a bit too much acceleration downfield. It's Ollie versus the Y. Open net and say hello to G2 perhaps. Only joking, it's 2-0.
And Oli is going to be laughing at that one as well, as that path was so open. That third man on the side of Team Vitality missing in action and required the most, and maybe a fortuitous kickoff can actually spell some possession. Zen to follow through off that 50-50, and the stars certainly aligned for Team Vitality here. They may have pushed themselves back into this.
They're never truly gone, Seiko. They're never gone in a series like this.
Never gone. And still a lot left to come, I'm sure. The team vitality grown from strength to strength in this series. In this game too. Zen, uncomfortable situation, needs support at the back. Dorito, an infield ball to Oli. That is top bins. That is top class from Oli. And you know what? As much as we've been praising this team vitality side, is there much you can do about that?
Yes. But Ollie won't let them. How cruel of him, Seiko. What a fabulous little cheeky goal. Down and in. And his vitality willing to go down. And a goal like that, far from it here. They came back with one goal. The second, not far away here.
Maybe for Radisson! He can put an extra one on the board! And this ball has been snuck in courtesy of such a delicate touch from Alpha 54. He's played the 50 low, turned it into a dunk of his own, and Radisson the finish. It's all working for them. Team Vitality scored a second.
They have. What a game. Back and forth it goes. Scoreboard, the crucial start of them all! And Alpha with one big save of his own, keeping it within that touching distance.
And Dorito to wrap around and hoof a ball over to Oli. It could actually be 4-2 if this sort of connections that we're seeing right here can be maintained for G1, which we've seen so often so far in this particular game. There's Oli in the corner, a nice dunk out, and Dorito's there on the opposite end. Oli also in contention to make a play of his own. And G1, they look so deadly when they're downfield, but Team Vitality have absolutely no care to keep them there.
I like moving downfield there, and that was a wise decision by Alpha. That's experience showing, getting rid of the ball, and the idea of feeling somewhat pressured into making a decision. And they're saying, fabulous touch away here. We're approaching 60 seconds, and for our first time in a while, it's Vitality who has to do a bit of work in the series.
With options, Alpha 54 has been found, but nothing after that. Unfortunately, that's already 10 seconds gone as Zen finds a flip reset. There's a player over on the right-hand side of the field not found yet again as another 10 seconds killed off the clock in it as each one of these G1 clearances come their way through. Team Vitality, it's just that touching distance that fades ever so gradually, and unfortunately, this might still not be enough as another save comes through from Dorito.
This is shifting the ball to the side here. Rosen is the closest here. Should be a defensive touch by G1. This is the problem. Is there a follow-up? Well, Vitality was hoping for one of their own there. Alpha's double. Rotten away that opportunity as Ollie runs downfield in Alpha from goal scorer to goal stopper.
A great infield ball, maybe one last chance for Zen, but Atomic wisely positioned and wisely prepared to deal with that threat as Alpha 54 does keep it alive. Maybe a couple extra touches in field, but it's not meant to be for Team Vitality and G1. Towards the end of that game, they really were seeing their fair share of pressure against them, but it's that MVP performer again, perhaps Oli, 3 goals to his name. Such a difference maker he's been.
Certainly so, but I think for just a small moment of us deviating away here to the other two there, some people might look at Dorito for occasionally making that odd mistake, and is Atomic just in that right place suddenly every so often there. But when they're on form, when they're passing, it is fabulous. And you could say the likewise for Vitality. We already know how good Alpha's been historically. Reducing it, the Major has done fabulous as well. Those 4 players are allowing those 2, mind you, Seiko, to have that, well, let's just say the story and the spotlight on them. But I think it's only fair here, after 4 games deep, to say that this is their credit to be given.
Absolutely so. And G1, I'm not sure how many people would have anticipated a situation like this, especially after Team Vitality sort of bounced back into this series in that Game 3. There has also been a response from their opposition. For Team Vitality, there's a lot of work to be done now. This kickoff gets underway. Game 5 here on Wasteland. Let's see who takes it first.
So G1's blue colour strip at the moment will have apparently the first opportunity from that kick-off, and it's a passing play cut short. Vitality, clear options in terms of getting away here, and Zen, well, might see a small opportunity, window cut through, and Alpha for a double, blocked it goes.
Got away in a dangerous touch from Zen, but he knew exactly what he was doing there with that particular touch, as Alpha 54 downfield finds another player in orange, and Radisson to wrap around, maybe throw a ball infield that could do some damage after the 50-50 comes across. G1 looking to make their stride forwards now.
Decent idea. Just not the touch by Dorito, but no harm with leaving that to run. Then downfield, it's quite simply this ball just being moved across here with a bit of pace. We're returning quite similar to how game 1 was performed. The only difference is it's goalless. We saw one or two quick flavours of the scoreboard.
Plenty of solo play opportunities as Zen has pulled whatever that was out of the bag. Such a gorgeous ceiling pinch over to the backboard. He drops it down with a near impossible angle. Unfortunately didn't go in the first time of asking, but G1, I think you can tell just how much they were expecting that one.
I think the impossible angle was accurate. It's a shame we don't have an own goal. The star of both sides teaming up together. Maybe a super team in the future, but that's cruel. Maybe unfortunate. But still, 90 seconds gone by, and maybe all can be forgiven if one goal pops in by G1 here.
Maybe so, but Zen is not having any of it with that carry all the way downfield, just showing of his confidence at the moment. And this game so far dominated by solo play after solo play, each direction, and Team Vitality winning out that war significantly, courtesy mainly at large by Zen, the difference maker right now. 3 minutes left on the clock. Dorito downfield to hoof this one central. Unfortunately, it's only gone as far. Awaiting Team Vitality as this ball goes central.
Doesn't slow shots. There is two defenders. It's just who will jump first, and Dorito's giving Atomic an easier job there. And it will be likewise maybe the return. Ollie drops it into the corner. Half take. It's a crucial, pivotal game in the series here in Vitality. They've got it by a lead. A lead they'll happily take, an own goal at that too. And this is a quick throw downfield, and bar that, it ends there.
No matter how frail a lead, it's a lead nonetheless, and G1 maybe with a response here if Dorito catches the flip reset. A teammate to follow as well, but blocked away twice now. Radisson already in the right place at the right time. Alpha all alone, submerged at the back, just looking for help, looking for support. When it was needed most, it certainly arrived.
Sitting, waiting patiently. The rest of G1 likewise. Calm, control, a little bit more poised than what we've seen before here. What you need, and it's a quick run down, and that's a wonderful decision. Dorito saw a teammate, passed it, and trying to get a few cheap attacks going, just the waist boost, and just pull a defender out here from Vitality's sake.
Absolutely so, but Team Vitality, their shape is absolutely picture perfect at the moment. And regardless of how many passes have been thrown by G1 infield back across, there is just no gaps being left unmarked at the moment. Zen central, Alpha 54 up early. That might have been a partial overcommit on the side of Team Vitality, but Radisson there to save the day that time around. But you can't be making that mistake too often.
Ain't no seen a blunder, and Alpha's just read a pinch. That was a missile like down here. Both sides are just throwing the ball down. It's who has the base, who has the save, and it is big man Dorito stepping away. Well, Vitality chips and chips away. Whoa. There is no dip until Radosin has his share.
I mean, you have to be thinking, if you're G1, at what time are these players going to stop rotating into shoot? I think that was the 4th time in a row for Team Vitality that the pressure was afforded, the pressure given, and a goal converted. Team Vitality now in their fullest of strides.
Never is the answer. They're going to keep going until they have no option left or no boost. You should know that by now.
I probably should, but it's still surprising to see the absolute wealth of support that some of these absolutely top-tier teams can deliver. Radisson has delivered an important little block there over to the side, which was a difficult touch to make strongly, but has afforded his team brief reprieve in the other end. Radisson with a shot, but it's weak and easy to deal with for Atomic.
Atomic, nice bit of control there. Bump demo and clock unfortunately not favouring G1. That's unfortunate there because it was getting to a point where you just thought Vitality might, very loosely, might be slipping away there. The goal started, an own goal at that. And Vitality, the benefactors of momentum. Relic, our good friend, who was on the previous series, who's on the final, uses that word quite not heavily, but in key moments, and that's was it there, and rightly too. And you know what? That turned this entire match upside round.
Yeah, and Team Vitality, some of the goals that they put away, in fact, the two of them that they did were so well worked. Of course, that solo play from Zen to make it 1-0, utterly unforgettable. We saw how close he was with that finishing blow, and it was assisted by G1, but still a threat that they could not possibly avoid. And for that second goal as well, we saw that suffocating pressure, that level of domination that Team Vitality can bring to the table when they're firing on all cylinders. And I think for G1, it's at that stage in the series where you truly, truly do need to deliver your absolute best performance. Otherwise, you're going to be the team coming away with nothing here.
Well, not quite nothing. They will have at least a prize bill by our sponsor, Ali, and of course, huge sponsor, thank you, of course, to Xanax as well. This tournament shows you what the European region has to offer from the bubble and to the top here. We are in Game 6 itself here. Vitality, they are leading the series. Will they like to finish with flair against G1? That is a question that everybody is waiting for at the edge of their seats here. And on the edge of Vitality's net is a ball and 3 players looking to put it through.
None of them have managed to do so as Dorito tries to look for support in field. Alpha 54! Where on earth did you just come from? I think he weaved his way all the way to the ceiling here, and he's taken after his good pal, his good mate Zen, who did it just minutes prior, and maybe +1'd him with that.
We might be in the case of who did it better. Zen, it's over to you.
Give us one more. I'm sure you'll make the social media team incredibly happy, and me very grateful as well. I like a good flashy play, but now it's just almost terrifying for me, just as a viewer as well, what Team Vitality are bringing to the table right now. And G1 just left in awe. They're thinking, what can we possibly do to transform this series? Now, with 4 minutes left, that's all the time they've got to find an answer, Danny.
So, I think for the neutral sake, we would like Game 7, and you're getting Sarah's Psycho. Don't know if I should be as well too, but I'm happily sitting waiting to see what missile else is being thrown. That's a soft touch-up field here, and that's a loose one. It's a Viking 10, it's a Viking Alpha, and everybody wanted to go on it, but the keeper nonetheless got its last touch.
Keeper's done what was required from them, and LTK Atomic now. What's required is a counter-attack chance if Oli can get his mitts on it, but Radisson opposing end with a beautiful air dribble all the way to the ceiling there. Countered it absolutely perfectly. Zen, no flip reset found just now, but this ball's dangerous. This ball is more than dangerous. This ball is in the back of the net, and Team Vitality 2 goals up now. We saw what that did to them in that previous game. Is this series done and dusted?
It's more than that, Psycho. It could be the invitation itself. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody has it. And Atomic wants it. He shall have an attempt here. It's not over yet here. You might have your fingering pen ready to put Vitality's name onto it, but the envelope isn't shut yet.
Do not count out G1. They are back with a vengeance, and we've seen just how much this team can persevere in this competition, especially with the likes of their quarter-final performances. LTK Atomic almost gets an additional touch there as Oli over to the opposing end. Dorito infield, but no options to aim for here. You can tell there's some desperation, but Dorito almost firing one in there as these players just keep on wrapping around one after the next, just hoping the gaps are going to be given, but all of them closed away by Team Vitality.
Back to G1, and if you want to call this an issue of being probably a bit harsh here, they're just one play away from just brilliance. And that's the unfortunate problem. The fact that Vitality isn't giving them that space, they're not given that opportunity here. They have to find it though. It's difficult enough here that unfortunately there's a time limit effectively on this too. 2 minutes and change. They grab G2 second if they want to survive. Scratch that. They need a second and plus another.
They need a revival. G1. They responded with a quick kick-off goal after that second was put away by Team Vitality, but now they're in even more of a dire situation. Less than 2 minutes on the clock. What can they provide us here as Dorito submerged last, alone, left begging for hope from his side as LCK Atomic with very important touch there wide. It's not going to be enough. They need something the other end.
Atomic forcing that one, has to. There is no point of sitting back. The difference of losing to 3-1 and 7-1 is virtually nothing. You're going out. That is simple as it gets here.
Simple as it gets, and Dorito testing out a dunk. You can see that they're taking every single scenario and hoping for the best case outcome every single time. Certainly some risk being involved here from G1 when they need it perhaps the most. LTK Atomic with the solo play downfield. Oli swishes this one over to the side, and he's got 2 players left to beat as he goes infield. Dorito to the backboard, and unfortunately LTK Atomic just couldn't mop that one up.
Dorito's shooting this one to the side here, Ollie. He's looking, he's turning, he's fired one home! Vitality might have been sitting and celebrating, waiting for a grand final. Unfortunately, they let one through.
It's not done. Not over. For G1, all they need perhaps is a single kickoff in their favour. A bit of early possession to get the ball rolling in this last 50 seconds of play. But Zen, the 1v1 mastermind, has been blocked away there by Dorito. LTK Atomic over now on the other side. You can tell that G1 are looking for a means to break through. Dorito is that method forwards, but blocked away. Zen, so quick, disruptive, and has afforded his team a beautiful phase downfield.
There's Alpha, he's up over 1. Technically the second already beaten due to the rotation. Another touch here, Dawson's up, drop down, it's going to be a quick pass, ends beaten. Ollie has it! An equalising goal in the semi-final. Game number 6. Vitality had it. They've lost it, and it could be an OT.
2 pre-jumping blue players and 1 meaningful connection from Oli. As now, that's a third for him. And 10 seconds left. Alpha 54 may have a shooting chance, but Dorito comfortably back in time. Zen, no options infield just yet, and actually G1 look to be the benefactors of this play here if 50-50 was to go in their favour, but OT looks the most likely outcome, and who would have thought, given Team Vitality's early domination, G1 have fought their way back.
We've had an OT before. If memory serves me right, the G1 was the one that took it. They would like to do it again to force that game 7, and look at this weaving around. And Vitality all bunched in a line. 1 ball over, that's them gone. There's a quick demo. Vitality, mind you, at the left-hand side of that blue side. Looking, moving down, and that's uncomfortable pass too. Both sides, they're shaky. They want it though, and they're tacking for it. Good on them, but who will make the mistake though?
And at the moment, Team Vitality scarily aggressed forwards. Forwards, maybe some space for G1 as Radisson moves the ball downfield. Dorito going to do exactly that as Oli. Touch against the wall. No blue players to follow this one up. Radisson, maybe a shooting chance here, but still the defense holds for both sides.
Just downfield. Zen will have his boost, he'll have options, Redosin. Oh, Alpha is behind it, so Zen's forced into playing this whether he wanted to or not here. But too much space here. And another quick challenge, up it goes Zen. Well, he's not being challenged here. Not by G1 yet here. There's one beaten. Downfield it goes, and Dorito stood strong, waited his opportunity, second touch, and G1, well, they got their position right perhaps here.
Absolutely so, and now in a good position and a strong one to continue forwards is Team Vitality as Radisson supporting in this corner to push the ball ever forwards. As each player on the side of G1 looking to get a little bit more out of shape, but every time that occurrence takes place, there's a response, and still stuck in the corner we are.
On the wall. Get into the middle, that's a loose one. Vitality not jumping, no boost there, and it's forced Zen to maybe challenge here. Alpha takes it over the control. The old captain here, Dorito chips it up high, and Zen will have his turn here. Do you want a 1v1 against Zen? And that is how it ends. G1 fought violently, but unfortunately not to the bitter end.
You have to respect the man of the hour, Zen. Whenever he has possession of the ball, bit of free space, maybe 100 boost in the tank, this player is disgustingly good. And now, Team Vitality have pushed themselves through to a grand finals. Gamers first, what a performance it was from them too. This series, Danny, you said, had the making of being a classic, a future classic at that, to look back on and say, you know what, that was some of the best performances these players could have given us, and I'm so glad we got to watch that.
I've only got one issue. We're robbed of a game 7, mind you, but it's still a classic nonetheless. Vitality versus Moist. That, mind you, is the grand final cycle. And let's not forget that there was a few 7-0 score lines in that particular one. Very hungry is Moist. Likewise, Vitality too. But you know what, Seiko? That semi-final, probably, we've been treated to maybe the best match so far.
And I'm incredibly smug about that, but it's so nice to see two teams which have transformed their roster in the likes of those roster changes, especially the addition of Zen to Vitality and Oli to G1, actually coming out with so much confidence to give us that top level performance. And moving forwards to the grand finals, Team Vitality, I think, if I had to make any predictions, would be your likely favourites, Danny, but that's all yet to be uncovered in the grand finals.
Grand finals, that's all that is left to be. But sadly from us, we'll be bidding you a goodbye. It will be, of course, our wonderful casters in the form of Relic and Craftman. I'm sure they're waiting to get on to this one. A massive thank you to Ali, who has sponsored this event. Without them, this tournament wouldn't happen, alongside, of course, Psyonix. We hope you've enjoyed it so far. But mind you, that grand final, do you want to miss it? Well, watch after the break then.